Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. club. I'm down here, just got off the train at Circular Quay, and it's sprinkling a little bit, so it may be a wet day. Not quite sure at the moment, but there is a bit of cloud up there, and I can't even see the flags on the harbour bridge, so there may be a bit of a breeze blowing. But it doesn't look like it's a strong breeze, because I look over here on the Museum of Contemporary Art and the flags are just limp at the moment, so I dare say there's not much breeze, and this cloud may disappear throughout the morning. Anyway, let's go on a walk and talk. I've got another wonderful book to take you through this morning. I did 2 book summaries on the bus on the way in, so I powered through them because I didn't have a chance last night to generate any book summaries. So today's book summary is entitled No Drama Discipline, by a dual authorship of Daniel Siegel and Tina Bryson, who give us their thoughts. They're child psychologists, and give us their thoughts on how to discipline and how to deal with young children, and to bring out the best in them and help them grow and develop into better adults. Anyway, let's go downstairs. We'll see where this book leads us, but we can always learn something new. Through reading, we can always learn something new about parenting, even if you're a grandparent. Last night we had my eldest daughter Catherine at our house with both of her daughters, and my eldest daughter had a bit of a meltdown, as three-year-olds normally do. And it's always interesting just to see and to experience what's going through their little minds, because growing up is difficult. But just trying to work out how each child ticks in itself is a challenge, because as the authors in this book allude to, all children are different, not difficult, but different, and because they're individuals. And as parents and grandparents and carers, we need to appreciate that, understand it, and harness those differences to help them help themselves. So the first point to come out of this book from the dual authorship is that for a child and an adult, it is extremely powerful to hear someone say, "I get you, I understand, I see why you feel this way." And this type of empathy is really, really important, and it disarms us, and is something which is really, really useful. One of the core elements of this book is for parents, grandparents, carers, teachers to learn how to help disarm children from their cranky selves, I guess is the best way of describing it. And the first point that the authors harp on here is something that we all learn sooner or later once we become parents, that parenting is extremely hard and trying. And it's only when you become a parent, it's only when you have your own children that you learn how difficult parenting is. Because when you're, when you're single, when you don't have children, when you don't have siblings, when you don't have nephews and nieces, and you haven't tasted what it's like to have young people in your life, it's only once they come into your life that you realise that it is a 24-hour process, and it is extremely difficult, especially for those people who are selfish and don't have time for others, that your selfishness abruptly comes to an end when a child has a meltdown, and all of a sudden you realise that you need to partner with the child in order to help it develop and get over its challenges and issues. So this book here takes an approach from these authors. It takes a neurological science approach, where we look at the whole brain and how to work with a child and understand how their brains function and how their brains are developing. Because a child's brain is different to an adult's brain because it hasn't fully developed. It takes a person right up until they're about 30 for their brain to fully develop, and along that way, along that path, there are stages of development, and by understanding what those stages are and how they operate will help you better connect and, as I said before, work with and partner with the child in order to help them grow and get through their most challenging stages of their lives. So the first formal point to come out of this book, from this dual authorship, is that we need to take the opportunity wherever possible, whenever it presents itself, to teach a child when they misbehave. When a person or a child misbehaves is probably the best opportunity where you can work with them to help them understand and learn and to grow from that element. And in order to do that, this is a very, very important point, and a point that a lot of people don't get, is that we need to separate the discipline from the punishment. Disciplining a child is not punishing a child. And a lot of people, I guess over the ages, probably haven't been able to discern and separate the two. I know that when I was growing up at school, getting the cane, being put on detention, being berated, being told off, was thought of as being that they were disciplining you, but in actual fact, what they say is that punishment causes resentment, creates fear, and is very, very damaging to the development of a child's brain, and has long-term disadvantages. But then again, that'll be up for debate. I'm sure there are people who probably think that it is useful to discipline a child through punishment. But these authors take a different approach and a different an angle, saying that they need to be separated. You need to separate the discipline from the punishment, and they're not synonymous in meaning. So spanking, as we said before, just creates fear and resentment. So the author's key theme to come out of this book, if there's one thing you want to learn about this book, is that you need to connect with the child. You first need to connect, and once you connect, then and only then you can work with that child to redirect and rechannel the energy and get them to do the right thing and to hopefully learn from the experience. So the authors introduce us to a concept in terms of the brain, and they say that the brain is made up of the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. A different slant on how the brain works And they say that the downstairs brain is the one that controls all the basic processes, the instincts like breathing and digestion, and our upstairs brain controls empathy and emotion. But to understand that a child's brain is very moldable, and everybody's brain, regardless of what age you are, there is a thing called plasticity, neuroplasticity, which means that the brain can change its structure throughout life. Of course, it changes structure much easier when you're younger, but it can change throughout your life as you grow and develop, and as you focus and as you reuse parts of your brain. So the second formal point to come out of this book is the importance of connecting rather than punishing, because through connection is the best way that the brain can receive feedback. And it's through this feedback that you can give a child that they're able to grow and develop and learn and understand and I guess feel and be part of the interaction and the associations. So we all need to have a loving relationship in order to discipline. Now, you can't discipline a child if you don't have a loving relationship in the first place. So we need to build the bridge, we need to build a connection, we need to develop a relationship with a child before we can start disciplining the child. And because we need to be able to connect with them, we need to be able to form a bridge, a connection, in order to be able to then work with them. So the first major point that is usable, the first usable point, is that we don't we mustn't dismiss a child's feelings, and it's important to be able to comfort them, to nurture them, and to first acknowledge their feelings so that they can accept and acknowledge their own feelings as well, and not to be invalidated. The worst thing in the world is when people invalidate you. Now, it happens on Facebook, it happens on social media, where you put up a post and all of a sudden, a smart ass, instead of liking it or scrolling on, will want to take you on and just challenge you and invalidate everything about you. It's just not productive. It's very, very soul destroying, and I'm sure everybody feels the same, especially children. So what the author is saying here with children is that you first need to connect with them and to accept their feelings, acknowledge their feelings, and get them to understand that you've connected with them and you're on their side as opposed to opposed to them. So because by connecting, this is the enabler. It enables them to cooperate and to engage the upstairs brain, the one that controls empathy and emotion. So when a child is emotional, when anybody's emotional, you need to work with them, and it takes a while for that emotion, that strong emotion that is triggered by the primitive brain, by the reptilian brain, the one that gets you to fight or flight, or to just stand there and not move. Once you strongly engage somebody's emotions, the lesson that I've learned after being married for 35, almost 36 years now, is you just stand back. You just try and minimize the downstairs brain being engaged, and you just let it diffuse as best you can, because that ticking bomb is still ticking away until that downstairs brain, that reptilian brain, is just relaxed, and that the person no longer feels fear, uncertainty and doubt and pain. Otherwise they'll just lash out and reignite the primitive brain again, and then it'll take at least 20 minutes or so for them to disengage those powerful emotional feelings. Because as we said, it takes time to calm down, and it's only when we calm down that we can cooperate. So the more time you make to connect, the more loved the child will feel, but the more love that even an adult will feel. So stick with them, I guess, is the key point. Stick with them and don't play games. Don't try and bully them. Don't try and threaten them, because the more threats, the more bullying, the more pressure you put on them, the more they stay in this state, which is not all that helpful. And the next key point, the last key point to come out of this book, is that you need to work with them to search for the why, and to stay positive while refraining from lecturing. The last thing you want to do is to be in a shitty mood, to feel invalidated, and then for people to continue to berate you and lecture you and make you feel even more invalidated. So don't scold, don't lecture is the key message if you want to be able to connect and work with children. Because kids need someone to understand them and to help them find out the why, and to clarify the why in their heads and in their minds, and to feel understood. And once you work with them and understand the why, and you're connected with them, and they feel comfortable with your connection, then once you find the reason, then you're able then, and only then, to help redirect them, to rechannel that energy, those feelings into a positive outcome.
Don't jump in, mate.
Hey, how you going there? So the positive statements are important. Positive statements, staying connected, and it will engender cooperation. Help them become part of the conversation rather than being the subject of the conversation, and redirect are the key points. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I found it really, really useful, really, really helpful. And it's amazing how you can spend 10 minutes reading a book summary, and in those 10 minutes we can learn so much that can help us get through the morning, get through the day, get through those difficult moments with our children, our grandchildren, our work peers, and also help us understand ourselves a little bit better. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and let's take a few of the points. Let's take a few of the lessons from this book that we just stepped through this morning, entitled No Drama, Discipline, by Daniel Siegel and Tina Bryson, and help us use these life hacks to work with our children, our grandchildren, and everybody around us, to get through the morning, get through the day, and to be the wind beneath our wings, where we help redirect the energy that people have, make them feel loved, make them feel validated, make them feel understood. And we're all the same, children, adults, you name it. We all have the same challenges, we all have the same problems. So thank you once again for taking the time to join me. I'm just heading off to work, and hopefully it'll be another wonderful day. So I'll come again to you at morning tea at around 9 o'clock with another version of Jim's 5am Club, and I'm committed to generating 3 to 4 of these a day in order to help me get to my my 1,000. Help me get to my goal of 1,000 vlogs by my 31st birthday. And I'm on track. I'm on track to get there. And I guess once I get there, I'll just keep on powering on and generate different versions or different flavors of Jim's 5 a.m. Club, because it's something that I enjoy. It's something I look forward to. And I think it's something that's going to help me and hopefully help you. Take care, everybody. Yasas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.